Great. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. I know people will be joining us. I just want to introduce myself first, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Namati. My name is Wendy Morales, and I'm the Director of Social Studies and Technology for the district. And you are here, hopefully, for the Government Law and Public Policy Pathway. We had some technical issues before with the link, so hopefully that's why you're here. I just ask that everybody turn off their mics. We're going to do some Q&A. In a couple minutes, and we ask that you either use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen, or you could put your questions in the chat. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Namati to introduce himself and just give a brief overview of the pathway. You also received a link via email with the pathway video that he had created with his students that gives a lot more information that will be also posted on our new course guidebook website, which you will be receiving tomorrow from Guidance. So Mr. Namati, why don't you go ahead and take over?
Thank you, Dr. Morales. My name is Mr. Namati. I'm the moderator of GLP3, Government Law Public Policy Pathway. Thank you very much for coming to tonight's meeting. I hope to answer any questions you have about the pathway. Just a very brief overview about what we do as GLP3 members. I feel that our pathway is a very active pathway. We have meetings every month with some great speakers, hoping to foster the interests of the students that are in the pathway that have interest in government law or public policy. The students that we have in the pathway currently, they're all great human beings and they all do amazing things, and they're all active not only in the pathway but in the community. And that's something that we look to continue to foster, is not just being active in the school community, but active in the community at large, and taking their interest in leadership to a much broader level. That's pretty much it in terms of just the basic background of the pathway. One thing I do want to say is I feel that our pathway is pretty amazing because of the flexibility the students have in terms of the courses they can take, whether it's the required courses or the multitude of electives that they have at their disposal. So I think our pathway has a lot to offer. And if your student has any interests in our pathway, I think they'll really, really enjoy being a part of it. Again, we have a great group of students. At our meetings, they've really developed into really good, strong, friendly relationships. It's great, and I hope to see some of your students in our pathway in September. So with that being said, if you have any questions about the pathway, I'll be happy to answer the best I can. By all means, don't be shy. I will be happy to answer any questions you have about our speakers, our meetings, anything at all that you are interested in learning about. Yes, Miss Limekiller.
Yes, good evening. Thanks so much. So there's I'm trying to think of the word. There is a presentation giving more information on the pathway, and that's somewhere we're going to get a link to that, or that has already been sent to us. Is that the case? I'm curious. So what makes the pathway? I came last year also when we were able to do it in person, even though my son was in 7th grade at the time. So from what I recall, what makes a pathway is there are certain electives he would choose. And then in addition, during advisory time or after school, there are also meetings that the pathway gets together, and there are speakers, and it's, of this subject matter. I'm curious if that's correct, if I'm remembering it correctly. And then what are the electives someone in this pathway? Could you give me just a smattering of some of the electives that these students would take? Like, what are the names of the classes and just some of the classes?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Do you want me to address the part about the meetings and such?
Sure, and then talk about the different courses.
Sure, absolutely. So we do have monthly meetings. Sometimes we have more than one meeting a month, depending on the availability of the speakers. We make them mandatory. We usually give the students ample notice of when the meetings will take place, and the speakers, it's very varied, which makes it, I think it piques everyone's interest that's in the pathway. We've had the mayor of Middletown. In January, we have a judge coming in who's talking about all the different challenges associated with virtual court and everything that's going on, obviously, with the current pandemic situation. We have members from the armed services coming in. We have even local business leaders we had come in to talk about business issues and how it relates to government and all these kind of things. So we try to have a broad spectrum of speakers each month so that everybody's interest in the pathway is met. And every year we try to change it up a little bit and try to include new speakers. We bring back speakers that we think did an amazing job. But we do make the meetings mandatory because I feel that the meetings go much better when there's a large group and they're all active and they're all participating. And the meetings tend to be very interactive. The students have a chance to ask questions to the speakers. All the speakers that we've had have been very, very good about working with the students to have them to address their interests in their particular field. So I think the meetings are one of the strengths of the pathway, in addition to again, I also teach mock trial in addition to history, and mock trial is one of those courses that's a pathway course. And again, I'm not just saying this because I'm the moderator of the pathway, but I honestly feel that the courses that are offered to the students that are in this pathway, there's really something for everybody. So, and in the video that we made and that you'll see, there's even a course description list that outlines all the potential courses that a student can take as a part of the pathway. So, Dr. Morales, would you like to add anything?
Sure. So as we said, guidance will be sending out the link to the new kind of interactive course guide tomorrow. And on there, you'll see a page for each pathway. But just, you asked for a little smattering, so I'll give you a few examples. Every year, the students do have to take a required history-related course. So the first year, it's the economics half-year course, which actually all students have to take to graduate. The second year, it's a full-year economics or AP economics. The third year, it's law, justice, and society. And in 12th grade, they take either civic leadership or senior career seminar, which is an internship course. But then there's dozens of electives to choose from. So there's still time in their schedule to choose other electives, of which they can choose mock trial, as you just heard. Modern global issues is one of our new courses. AP human geography, recent American history, psychology, AP psychology, even things like journalism or TV production actually count as those electives toward GLP3. So it's very diverse. There's a lot of different options. You'll see a chart on the page that shows you the kind of the track and how a student will kind of achieve that GLP3 distinction. The great thing is, if you're in the pathway, you get priority to these courses. So if you're in any of the pathways, you get priority over a student that is not in the pathway to get into those GLP3 track courses. Hope that answered your question.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Any other questions?
Actually, I have one follow-up.
Sure.
So in addition to those, that's in addition to their normal history, like their social studies. That's given, and then these are in addition to.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay,
and then up into 11th and 12th grade, there'll even be opportunities for them to do things like fine art or things that, like other things that aren't just history related. There is room in the schedule for that too.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions? By all means, please. I feel very strongly about the pathway. I was very excited to become the advisor of the pathway because I believe in it, and I think that what we have to offer really helps students not only academically, but I feel it helps develop leadership skills that students are going to continue to use as they move on in their high school career and their college career and beyond. So, I sincerely hope that I see some of your students in our pathway in September. I really think they're going to have an enriched experience in our pathway. And I think they're going to really enjoy working with the students that are currently in the pathway that are returning. We have an excellent group of students, and I expect it to stay that way.
Yes, you just mentioned about a video that's out. Where might we find said video?
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. I can address that. So I believe it was yesterday or the day before, it was sent in an email blast, all the pathway videos from the district. If you did not receive it, they also are going to be found on our new course selection guide, which is coming out tomorrow morning. So that can be found on our district website. That has all of our different courses, including all of our pathway opportunities, our advanced placement opportunities. So all the videos are housed on there as well. If you still can't find it, reach out to your child's guidance counselor and they can send you the direct link.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions about our seminars, courses that are part of the pathway, anything at all that we can help you with? Just to reinforce, I feel one of the strengths of the pathway is the variety of courses that are available to your students. I hope that when you view the video, you could look at the course chart to see the variety that is available. I think that's one of the strengths of the pathway is the variety is it's there to make sure that everybody in the pathway's interests are met. I myself, one of the electives that I teach is mock trial. It's an amazing class. The students are doing an amazing job. That's just one example of some of the many great classes that are part of the pathway. And our seminars, I feel, and I believe the students would also support this. We've had some great seminars with some great speakers that are volunteering their time to talk to the students, and they've done amazing jobs in terms of their presentations. And I honestly feel that if your student joined the pathway and participated in these seminars, they'd really get a lot out of it. And it would also make them feel a bigger part of the school community as a whole. So we feel we have a lot to offer. And we feel that it's a really enriching experience if your student decides to join the pathway.
And just to add on to that, on this new website, you will see a chart that shows you what your student will take every year as part of the pathway. There's one required course every year, and then there's room for electives. And we suggest certain electives as part of the pathway, but then there is also room in the schedule, especially as you get into 11th and 12th grade for just any class you like. But you would think that that would be limiting, but when you see the chart, you'll see there's actually dozens of options. For example, sociology, recent American history, modern global issues, criminal and business law, TV production, journalism, Holocaust and genocide course, environmental science, psychology, and the list goes on. So it really is, as Mr. Namati was saying, very diverse. You're not just taking history related classes. You're kind of coming out as a very well-rounded person who's able to be a future leader.
I saw a question in the chat regarding some of the speakers that they could expect to have if they were to join the pathway. Just a sampling of some of the speakers that we've had this year and last year and years past. We've had the mayor of Middletown come in and speak to the students. We've had business owners speak to the students. We've had members from law enforcement at various levels, whether it's local law enforcement or federal law enforcement, speak to the students. Just in January alone, this upcoming January, we have a judge coming in to speak to the students, and the focus of that seminar is going to deal with the court system and how it's affected right now in terms of everything going on with the pandemic, and how the court system is dealing with virtual trials and virtual hearings. So we try to have a variety of speakers, and we try to switch it up every year so we get new perspectives and new voices in the classroom. And so far, every speaker that we've had has been great, and the students have really enjoyed our seminars. We try to not make it a lecture as much as a discussion where the students are actively involved in interacting with the speaker. And again, the seminars are mandatory, and we do that to make the seminars as meaningful as possible and as interactive as possible. Any other questions? By all means.
So if your child is interested in the pathway, there is an online application they can fill out, which will also be on that website you'll be receiving tomorrow. And then they can speak to their guidance counselor and let them know that they want to be part of the pathway, or they're considering it, and they will help them select the right courses. You can always join the pathway later, so especially sophomore year, because by then you haven't missed as much. So you still have a little bit of time to figure out if this is what you want to do. But at any time, if the pathway is not right for you, you can withdraw from the pathway, and it would not show up on your transcript or anything like that.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just an interesting note regarding the importance of the seminars. This year we had a speaker come in from the League of Women's Voters, and she did an amazing presentation. And as a result of this presentation, a couple of the students in the pathway reached out to the speaker to join as students. And the League of Women's Voters accepted these students and gave them membership. And this is just, it was something obviously the pathway is very proud of, because these students took it upon themselves to reach out and demonstrate their desire to be leaders in the community. So that's the kind of students that we've been having in our pathway, and we look to continue to have in our pathway are students that are looking to be active leaders, not only in the school, but in the community. So we've been very fortunate with that. Any other questions or concerns or? Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming. And I sincerely hope that I will see some of your students in our pathway in September. I feel we have a lot to offer, and I truly believe it'll be an enriching experience for your student. And by any means, if you have any questions between now and September, you could also reach out to me directly. And if I have any answers for you, I will certainly share that with you. So my email is on the district website. By all means, if any questions come up about our pathway that wasn't addressed in this presentation, please feel free to reach out. So there was a question about the average number of students who, sorry, let me read the rest of this, who choose each pathway. Dr. Morales, that might be a question for you.
Yeah, it really varies because, as you know, we offer them in both schools, high school north and high school south. So really a pathway can be anywhere from, what do we have now in GLP3, Mr. Mahdi, like a ballpark figure?
We have close to 20.
Yeah, we have about 20, where our STEM pathway tends to have a little bit more than that, because we see a lot of our students obviously are very interested in technology. And then our BMAP, I believe, is about around the same size as our as GLP3, but we don't limit the number of students. And like I told the other group, or maybe I said it here, if you're in the pathway, you get priority to those courses that are tracked in your pathway. So if you're not sure, it's always a good thing to do. So you get that priority, and then you can always switch pathways, or you can sign yourself out of the pathway. Okay, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And again, reach out to either of us with any questions you have, and we hope you all have a happy and safe holiday.
Good night.